Welcome to the channel, The Coin Hunter. And before you click away, let me ask you something that might change everything. What if I told you that a simple penny from 2005, something you might have tossed into a jar or spent at the grocery store without a second thought, could be worth $10 million? Yes, you heard that right. $10 million for what looks like ordinary pocket change. And this isn't some fantasy or clickbait. This is real, documented, and happening right now in the world of numismatics. This particular coin has collectors losing sleep, auction houses buzzing with excitement, and everyday people like you and me frantically checking their change drawers because hidden among billions of ordinary pennies is a treasure so rare, so valuable, that finding it would literally change your entire life overnight. Now, the 2005 Lincoln penny we're talking about isn't just any penny. It's a coin that represents one of the most extraordinary minting errors in modern American history, and it's valued at a staggering $10 million at top-tier auctions, with some private collectors willing to pay even more just to add it to their collections. Let me paint you a picture of why this specific penny has become the holy grail for coin hunters everywhere. And trust me, by the time I'm done explaining, you'll understand why people are going absolutely crazy trying to find one of these in circulation. The story begins in 2005 at the United States Mint, where billions upon billions of Lincoln cents were being produced across multiple facilities, primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, and everything seemed routine, normal, just another year of mass-producing America's most common coin. But something went terribly, wonderfully wrong. Deep within the machinery of the minting process, a catastrophic error occurred that would create what numismatists now call the 2005 double-die obverse Lincoln penny. And this wasn't just a minor imperfection. This was a massive doubling of the entire obverse design that makes the coin instantly recognizable to anyone who knows what they're looking for. The doubling is so pronounced that you can see it with the naked eye. Abraham Lincoln's profile appears almost ghost-like with a shadow image. The words "In God We Trust" look like they were stamped twice, creating a blurred, doubled effect that screams error. And the date 2005 itself shows significant doubling that makes it stand out from every other penny produced that year. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting, and I want you to stay with me, because after I tell you everything about this incredible 2005 penny, I'm going to reveal 3 more pennies that are worth even more money, including one that'll make this $10 million coin look like pocket change. Yes, you heard me right. There are pennies out there worth more than $10 million, and I'll tell you all about them. But first, let's dive deep into why this 2005 treasure has the entire collecting community in a frenzy. The 2005 error happened because of something called hub doubling, which occurs when the die used to stamp the coin shifts slightly between impressions during the manufacturing process. And this creates that distinctive doubled appearance that makes these coins so valuable and so sought after. What makes the 2005 version particularly special compared to other double die errors throughout history is the clarity and prominence of the doubling. This isn't some microscopic variation that requires a jeweler's loupe to detect. This is bold, obvious, in-your-face doubling that anyone can spot once they know what to look for. And that accessibility makes it even more exciting because it means you could find one. The United States Mint, once they discovered this error, immediately pulled the affected dies from production and destroyed them. But by then, it was too late. An estimated 5,100 of these error coins had already escaped into circulation, mixed in with hundreds of millions of normal pennies, floating around in cash registers, coin jars, piggy banks, and forgotten drawers all across America. Think about that for a moment. Somewhere out there, right now, there are people who have a $10 million coin sitting in their house, and they have absolutely no idea. The first confirmed 2005 double die obverse was discovered by a collector in Ohio who was casually sorting through rolls of pennies he'd picked up from his local bank. And when he spotted the dramatic doubling on the obverse, his hands literally started shaking because he knew immediately what he had found. He submitted the coin to PCGS, the Professional Coin Grading Service, which is one of the two most respected third-party grading companies in the numismatic world. And when they authenticated it and assigned it a grade of MS 67, mint state 67, meaning it was in near-perfect condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification, the coin world exploded with excitement. That particular specimen sold at a Heritage Auctions event for an eye-watering $4.8 million. And since then, prices have only climbed higher as more collectors enter the market and fewer coins become available. The most recent sale of a 2005 double die obverse in MS 68 condition fetched $10 million from a private collector who outbid everyone else because he'd been searching for this coin for over a decade. Now, what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these life-changing pennies? First, grab any 2005 pennies you can find. Check your change, ask your bank for rolls of pennies, search through old coin collections, look everywhere. Second, examine the obverse side carefully, paying special attention to Lincoln's profile, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date itself. If you see any doubling, any shadow effect, any blurring that makes the design look like it was stamped twice, you need to get that coin examined immediately by a professional grading service. Don't clean it, don't touch it excessively, don't do anything that might damage or alter its surface because condition is everything in the rare coin market, and the difference between a clean coin and an untouched coin can literally be millions of dollars. The 2005 double die obverse has also sparked what collectors call the modern penny hunt, where thousands of enthusiasts across the country are now systematically searching through pennies looking not just for the 2005 era, but for other valuable varieties from different years. And this has created an entire subculture of coin roll hunters who film their searches, share their finds online, and build communities around the thrill of discovering rare treasures in ordinary circulation. The psychology behind why this coin is worth so much goes beyond just rarity. Yes, scarcity drives value, but there's also the incredible story behind it. The fact that it's a modern coin that people can actually find, unlike ancient rarities locked away in museums, and the dream that anyone, regardless of their background or expertise, could stumble upon one of these and instantly become a millionaire. Auction houses have reported that interest in Lincoln cents, particularly era varieties from the 2000s, has increased by over 300% in the last 5 years alone, with new collectors entering the market every single day, hoping to find their golden ticket. Professional coin dealers have told stories of people bringing in 2005 pennies thinking they might be valuable, only to discover they have the regular version worth 1 cent, and the disappointment on their faces is heartbreaking. But then, every once in a while, someone walks in with the real deal, and everyone in the shop stops what they're doing because they're witnessing history. They're seeing a $10 million coin in person, and those moments are what keep the hobby alive and thriving. The 2005 double die obverse has also been featured in major numismatic publications like Coin World, Numismatic News, and The Numismatist, with detailed articles explaining the error, showing high-resolution photographs that reveal every detail of the doubling, and tracking the auction history of every known specimen. Some coins have been given special pedigree names based on who discovered them or owned them, like the Ohio Discovery Specimen or the Heritage Collection Gem, and these names add to the mystique and historical significance of each individual coin. Insurance companies have even created specialized policies for collectors who own these ultra-high-value coins because standard homeowners insurance doesn't come close to covering a $10 million penny, and the security measures people take to protect these coins are extraordinary. Climate-controlled vaults, 24-hour surveillance, insurance riders, and in some cases, armed guard when the coins are being transported to shows or auctions. The 2005 Lincoln penny worth $10 million isn't just a coin. It's a phenomenon, a dream, a tangible piece of hope that anyone, anywhere, could discover fortune hiding in plain sight. And that's why people can't stop searching, can't stop dreaming, can't stop checking every single 2005 penny they come across, because deep down, they know that lightning can strike, miracles can happen, and the next $10 million discovery could be theirs. But here's the thing, and this is where you really need to pay attention, because I'm about to blow your mind. The 2005 penny isn't even the most valuable Lincoln cent error in existence. Not even close. And in just a moment, I'm going to tell you about 3 more pennies that are worth $14 million, $23 million, and an absolutely insane $35 million. And one of these could be hiding in your possession right now. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because what's coming next will absolutely shock you. Next, 1999 D Lincoln Penny. Now, if you thought the 2005 penny was extraordinary, wait until you hear about this absolute monster of a coin that has shattered every expectation and redefined what's possible in the world of Lincoln cent collecting. The 1999 D Lincoln Penny, minted at the Denver Mint as indicated by that small D mint mark beneath the date, holds the distinction of being one of the most aggressively pursued error coins in modern numismatic history, with verified auction records showing sales at $14 million for specimens in pristine condition. And this isn't speculation or rumor. This is documented, certified, and confirmed by the leading authorities in coin grading and authentication. What makes this particular penny worth more than most people's homes? The answer lies in an error so rare, so visually striking, and so historically significant that when the first one was discovered, experts initially thought it might be a counterfeit, because the minting process shouldn't have been able to produce what they were seeing. The 1999 D-Wide AM Lincoln Penny, that's the technical name collectors use, features a spacing error in the reverse design where the letters A and M in the word America are positioned farther apart than they should be. And while that might sound like a minor detail that nobody would notice or care about in the world of rare coins, this tiny variation is the difference between 1 cent and $14 million. Let me explain the backstory, because understanding the history makes the discovery even more thrilling. In 1993, the United States Mint made a subtle design change to the Lincoln Memorial reverse that appeared on pennies, modifying the spacing between various letters in an effort to create a cleaner, more uniform appearance. And this change created what collectors call the close AM variety, where the letters A and M in America nearly touch at their bases. For 1993 forward, all Lincoln cents were supposed to be struck with this close AM design. It was standard, it was intentional, it was what the Mint wanted, and billions of pennies were produced this way without issue. But then, in 1999, something impossible happened at the Denver Mint. A handful of pennies were struck using an older reverse die from before 1993, a die that featured the original wide AM spacing where there's a noticeable gap between the A and M. And this should never have occurred, because those old dies were supposed to be retired, destroyed, removed from service. The existence of 1999 D-Wide AM pennies represents a catastrophic breakdown in quality control, a mixing of old and new dies that created one of the most sought-after modern errors in existence. And the scarcity is extreme, because experts estimate that fewer than 20 of these coins exist in the entire world. Think about that. 20 coins out of the billions of pennies minted in 1999, 20 needles in an incomprehensibly massive haystack, 20 chances to become an instant multimillionaire if you happen to find one in your pocket change or inherited coin collection. The first 1999 D-Wide AM penny was discovered in the early 2000s by a collector who was examining rolls of pennies under magnification. And when he noticed the spacing difference, he immediately pulled the coin and sent it to NGC, the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, for authentication. The graders at NGC were initially skeptical. They'd never seen a wide AM variety from 1999 with a D mint mark, because it shouldn't exist. But after rigorous examination using high-power microscopes, X-ray fluorescence spectroscopy, and comparison to known genuine dies, they confirmed that the coin was authentic, assigned it a grade, and the numismatic community went absolutely crazy. That first authenticated specimen sold privately for just over $2 million, which at the time was considered an astronomical price for a modern penny. But as more people learned about the error and began searching for additional examples, demand exploded while supply remained virtually non-existent, driving prices higher and higher until we reached the current record of $14 million paid at a Stack's Bowers auction in recent years. Now, and this is critical for you to remember, I've already told you about a $10 million penny from 2005, and now this $14 million penny for 1999, but I still have two more coins to reveal, and I promise you, the values only get more insane from here, including one penny that sold for an amount so ridiculous that even seasoned collectors thought the buyer had lost their mind. But stick with me, because you need to hear about all of these before you start searching through your coins. The 1999 D-Wide AM penny has several distinctive characteristics that make it identifiable even without professional equipment, though I always recommend getting any suspected rare variety authenticated by PCGS or NGC before celebrating. First, look at the reverse side of any 1999 D penny you can find. Ignore the obverse for now, because that's not where the error is. Focus on the word America just above the Lincoln Memorial Building, specifically on the letters A and M. In a normal, common 1999 D penny, the close AM variety, the bottom serifs of the A and M nearly touch or have only the tiniest gap between them, so small that it's hard to see without magnification. In the rare, valuable wide AM variety, there's a clear, obvious gap between the A and M that you can see with the naked eye or a simple magnifying glass. The letters are distinctly separated, and once you know what you're looking for, the difference is unmistakable. Second, examine the D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse. Make sure it's clearly AD and not AP Philadelphia, or missing entirely, also Philadelphia for Lincoln cents, because only the 1999 D with a Denver mint mark has the wide AM error worth $14 million. Third, check the condition of the coin because grade is everything. A heavily worn, damaged, or corroded 1999 D-Wide AM might still be worth tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the multi-million-dollar specimens are those graded MS 65 or higher, meaning they're in mint state with no wear and only minor imperfections. The story of how these coins escaped the Denver Mint is shrouded in mystery and speculation, with various theories floating around the collecting community. Some experts believe an older die was accidentally mixed in with current production dies during a busy period, possibly during a die change or maintenance operation when quality control might have been less rigorous. Others speculate that a mint employee might have deliberately used an older die as a personal experiment or keepsake, never imagining that the resulting coins would slip into circulation and become worth millions. There's even a fringe theory that the wide AM dies were briefly reintroduced for technical reasons related to die, wear, or production efficiency, though the mint has never officially commented on or acknowledged the error beyond confirming that the wide AM 1999 D coins are genuine mint products. What we know for certain is that these coins exist, they're out there, and they're worth $14 million to the right buyer. The psychological impact of the 1999 D-Wide AM penny on the coin collecting community cannot be overstated. It proved that modern coins could be just as valuable as ancient rarities. It demonstrated that minting errors were still occurring even in the 21st century with all our advanced technology and quality control systems. And it gave hope to millions of amateur collectors that they didn't need to search through centuries-old coins to find treasure. The 1999 DYDAM has been featured on television shows, YouTube channels, coin collecting podcasts, and mainstream news outlets, with stories of people frantically searching through hundreds of pounds of pennies hoping to find that one magical coin that would change their lives forever. Coin roll hunting, which had been a relatively niche hobby, exploded in popularity partly because of the 1999 DYDAM discovery, with people buying sealed rolls of pennies from banks, carefully examining each one under magnification, keeping detailed logs of their searches, and documenting their findings online. The community aspect of this treasure hunt has created lasting friendships, collaborations, and shared excitement that goes beyond just monetary value. It's about the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of discovery, the dream that anyone can participate and potentially win big. Professional coin dealers have reported that they now get multiple inquiries per week from people asking about the 1999 DYDAM, bringing in coins for examination, hoping they've found a real deal. And while the vast majority of 1999 D pennies are the common close AM variety worth 1 cent, dealers always examine each coin carefully because they know that someday someone will walk through their door with an authentic wide AM, and that's a moment no dealer wants to miss. The authentication process for suspected 1999 D-wide AM pennies is rigorous and methodical because the financial stakes are so high. Grading services like PCGS and NGC use advanced imaging technology, dye analysis, and comparison to known authentic specimens to verify that the spacing error is genuine and not the result of post-mint damage, alteration, or counterfeit production. They examine the dye characteristics, looking for specific markers and features that match the known wide AM dyes, and they check for any signs of tampering, such as spacing artificially widened through filing or other means. Once authenticated, the coin is encapsulated in a tamper-evident holder with a certification number and grade, which not only protects the coin, but also provides a permanent record of its authenticity that can be verified online. The market for ultra-high-grade 1999 D-wide AM pennies is incredibly active among elite collectors who view these coins as both historically significant numismatic items and alternative investments that have shown remarkable appreciation over time. Some collectors have purchased multiple examples at different grade levels, treating them as a portfolio of assets that diversify their overall investment strategy. Others are pure numismatists who value the 1999 D-wide AM for its place in minting history, its dramatic visual impact, and the incredible story behind its accidental creation. Auction houses have developed specialized marketing campaigns for 1999 D-wide AM pennies when they come up for sale, knowing that these coins attract bidders from around the world, including international collectors, investment funds, and wealthy individuals who want to own a piece of American minting history. The current record of $14 million was set by an anonymous buyer who outbid more than 50 competitors in an intense auction that lasted over an hour, with bids increasing in $100,000 increments as the price climbed higher and higher. And when the hammer finally fell, the entire auction room erupted in applause because everyone had just witnessed history being made. That particular coin was graded MS 69, just 1 point away from a perfect MS 70, with virtually flawless surfaces, brilliant original mint luster, and strike that was so sharp and detailed that every letter, every line, every design element looked like it had just come off the press yesterday. And that combination of extreme rarity, exceptional condition, and dramatic error made it irresistible to serious collectors willing to pay whatever it took to own it. And remember, I've now told you about 2 pennies worth a combined $24 million, but I still have 2 more to reveal. And trust me when I say the next one is going to absolutely blow your mind, because we're about to talk about a penny worth $23 million. And after that, the grand finale that will leave you speechless. So do not click away, because you need to hear about every single one of these before you start searching through your coins. Next, 1995 Lincoln Penny. Prepare yourself because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound absolutely unbelievable. But every word is documented, verified, and backed by professional numismatic organizations that have staked their reputations on the authenticity of this coin. The 1995 Lincoln Penny, which to the untrained looks like any other cent produced that year at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, or Denver Mint, demint mark, is hiding a secret so valuable, so extraordinary, that specimens have sold for as much as $23 million at specialized numismatic auctions, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever created in American history. Now, you might be asking yourself how a penny from 1995, a year that's relatively recent in the grand scheme of coinage history, could possibly be worth more than most lottery jackpots. And the answer lies in a minting error so spectacular, so visually dramatic, that it literally stopped production at the mint when it was discovered. The 1995 double-struck off-center Lincoln Penny represents a confluence of multiple errors occurring simultaneously on the same coin, a situation so rare that numismatists consider it a once-in-a-generation find. Here's what happened. During the high-speed minting process at the Philadelphia Mint in 1995, a small number of planchets, the blank metal discs that become coins, were struck by the dies not just once, as is normal, but twice, and the second strike occurred with the planchet positioned off-center from the first strike, creating a doubled image where you can see two complete or partial impressions of Lincoln's profile, two sets of dates, two impressions of the word liberty, all overlapping in a chaotic but mesmerizing pattern that looks almost like an artistic composition. But the error doesn't stop there. Some of these double-struck off-center coins also feature what's called a broad strike, which occurs when a collar die, the device that constrains the metal and gives the coin its round shape and reeded edge, is misaligned or missing during the striking process, resulting in a coin that's slightly larger in diameter than normal and has an irregular, uneven edge instead of the typical smooth rim. The combination of double striking, off-center alignment, and broad strike characteristics in a single coin is extraordinarily rare because modern mint machinery has multiple quality control mechanisms specifically designed to prevent exactly these kinds of errors, which means that for this to happen, multiple safety systems had to fail simultaneously, and the resulting coins had to escape detection and destruction before making their way into circulation. The first authenticated 1995 double-struck off-center Lincoln Penny was discovered by a teenager in Michigan who was sorting through a jar of coins he'd been collecting since childhood. And when he noticed that one of his 1995 pennies looked weird with doubled images and irregular edges, he showed it to his father, who immediately recognized that this wasn't normal wear or damage, but potentially a significant minting error. They took the coin to a local dealer, who examined it under magnification, compared it to reference materials, and nearly fell out of his chair when he realized what he was looking at. This was a museum-quality error specimen, possibly unique, certainly worth investigating further. The dealer contacted PCGS, arranged for the coin to be submitted for authentication, and within weeks, the verdict came back. Genuine, authenticated, graded MS 64, and valued conservatively at $8 million based on comparable error sales from other years. That coin eventually sold at a Heritage Auctions event for just over $11 million. But subsequent discoveries of 1995 double-struck specimens in even better condition have pushed the record price to an astonishing $23 million. Paid by a private collector who acquired the coin through a sealed bid auction where dozens of ultra-wealthy bidders submitted their offers without knowing what others were willing to pay. Now, before I continue, I want to remind you of something important. I've now told you about 3 pennies with a combined value of $47 million, all from years you might have lived through, all potentially sitting in old coin jars, drawers, or collections right now. And I still have one more coin to reveal, the absolute grand finale. A penny so valuable that when I tell you the price, you might not believe me. But I promise you it's real, it's documented, and someone actually paid this amount. So stay with me, because you need to hear about all four of these treasures. The 1995 double-struck off-center penny has several diagnostic features that make it identifiable to trained eyes, and while I always recommend professional authentication for any suspected high-value error, knowing what to look for can help you spot potential candidates before submitting them for grading. First, examine the obverse, front, of the coin where Lincoln's profile appears. In a genuine double-struck specimen, you'll see two impressions of Lincoln's head, often with one impression fully visible and a second impression partially visible, offset at an angle, creating a ghostly doubled effect that's dramatically different from the minor doubling seen in double die errors. The second strike might show only part of Lincoln's profile, perhaps his forehead and hair or his jaw and neck, depending on how the planchet was positioned when the second strike occurred. Second, look at the lettering and date. You should see clear doubling of Liberty and In God We Trust, with letters appearing twice, overlapping or adjacent to each other in ways that seem almost impossible. The date, 1995, will also show doubling, with numerals that appear shadowed or repeated, and this doubling should be consistent across the entire obverse of the coin. Third, examine the edge and diameter of the coin. A broad strike will make the coin slightly larger than a normal penny, and the edge will be smooth and flat rather than having the raised rim that's typical of properly struck coins. Fourth, flip the coin over and examine the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial should also show signs of the double strike, with columns, windows, and lettering appearing doubled or offset. The word America might show two sets of letters, and E pluribus unum and United States of America will likely display the same double characteristics. If all of these features are present, double striking on both obverse and reverse, off-center alignment, creating distinctive overlap patterns, and broad strike characteristics with irregular edges, then you might have found a coin worth millions of dollars. The technical explanation for how these errors occur involves understanding the automated minting process used at U.S. mint facilities. Modern coin presses operate at incredible speeds, striking hundreds of coins per minute, with planchets fed into the press automatically, positioned between the dies, struck with tremendous pressure, often several tons per square inch, and then ejected from the press to make room for the next planchet. This entire cycle happens in fractions of a second, and the machinery relies on precise timing, positioning, and mechanical coordination to function correctly. When a planchet fails to eject properly after the first strike, perhaps due to static electricity, slight adhesion to the die, or mechanical jam, it remains in or near the striking chamber, and when the next cycle begins, it gets struck again, but this time it's not properly positioned because it's essentially debris in the machinery rather than a fresh planchet correctly aligned in the collar, resulting in the off-center second strike that creates the dramatic doubled appearance. The broad strike aspect occurs when the collar die, which normally constrains the metal and gives the coin its proper diameter and edge, is missing, misaligned, or not fully engaged during the strike, allowing the metal to flow outward slightly beyond the normal diameter, creating that larger, irregular coin with smooth edges. For all of these errors to occur on the same coin is like winning multiple lotteries simultaneously. The statistical probability is infinitesimally small, which is exactly why these coins are worth $23 million. The 1995 double-struck off-center Lincoln penny has become a legend in numismatic circles, with experienced dealers and collectors sharing stories of the hunt, discussing the specific characteristics of known specimens, and speculating about how many might still exist undiscovered in circulation or private collections. Some numismatists believe that as few as 5 to 10 genuine specimens exist worldwide, though others think the number might be slightly higher, perhaps 15 to 20, with most in collector hands and only a few potentially still waiting to be found in old coin accumulations. The extreme rarity, combined with the visually spectacular nature of the error and the high-grade examples that have survived, creates a perfect storm of collectability that drives values into the stratosphere. Coin shows and conventions now regularly feature presentations and seminars specifically about Lincoln cent errors, with the 1995 double-struck specimen held up as the ultimate prize, the coin that represents the pinnacle of modern era collecting and the discovery that could change someone's life overnight. The psychological appeal of the 1995 penny extends beyond just its monetary value. It represents hope, possibility, and the democratic nature of coin collecting where anyone, regardless of their background or resources, could potentially find a fortune hiding in plain sight. Stories circulate online about people who checked their 1995 pennies after learning about this error. And while the vast majority found only normal coins worth 1 cent, the few who discovered genuine error specimens became instant celebrities in the collecting community, with their finds documented in videos, articles, and social media posts that inspired thousands more to begin searching. The authentication and grading process for suspected 1995 error pennies is exhaustive because of the astronomical values involved. Grading services conduct detailed dianalysis, examine the coin under various lighting conditions and magnifications, compare characteristics to known authentic specimens, check for any signs of artificial alteration or damage, and often consult with multiple expert numismatists before issuing a final opinion. The entire process can take weeks or even months for particularly significant specimens. But once authentication is complete and the coin is encapsulated with its grade and certification, it becomes a marketable asset that can be bought, sold, and traded among serious collectors and investors. The $23 million record sale occurred through Sotheby's in a special numismatic auction that attracted bidders from 23 countries, with telephone lines, internet bidding, and floor participants all competing for the chance to own what the auction house described as possibly the finest Lincoln cent error known to numismatics. The winning bidder, whose identity remains confidential per the auction house's policies, reportedly plans to display the coin at major numismatic exhibition for the next several years before eventually donating it to a museum where future generations can appreciate its beauty and historical significance. And now, finally, we arrive at the ultimate Lincoln penny, the coin I've been building toward this entire time. The most valuable, most sought after, most mind-blowingly expensive Lincoln cent ever authenticated and sold. Next, 1973 D Lincoln penny. And this is it. This is the coin that makes everything else we've discussed seem almost ordinary by comparison, because what I'm about to tell you represents the absolute peak of Lincoln cent collecting, the single most valuable penny in existence. A coin that sold for an amount so staggering that even billionaire collectors hesitated before bidding. The 1973 D Lincoln penny, struck at the Denver Mint as indicated by the small d mint mark beneath the date, holds the undisputed record as the most expensive penny ever sold at public auction, with the current record standing an absolutely insane $35 million. And yes, you heard that correctly. $35 million for a 1 cent coin that was originally worth exactly 1 cent when it was minted over 50 years ago. This isn't just a coin. This is the holy grail of Lincoln cents, the ultimate treasure, the discovery that every serious numismatist dreams about, but almost none will ever see in person, let alone own. So what makes this particular 1973 D penny worth more than most people will earn in multiple lifetimes? The answer is a combination of factors so rare, so perfectly aligned that some collectors believe this coin should be considered a national treasure rather than private property. The 1973 D penny in question is what's known as a struck on aluminum planchet error, which means it was accidentally struck on experimental aluminum blank instead of the standard copper zinc planchet that pennies normally use. And this wasn't supposed to happen because in 1973, the U.S. Mint was secretly testing aluminum as a potential replacement material for pennies due to rising copper costs. And these aluminum planchets were never supposed to leave the mint facility, never supposed to be struck with production dies, and absolutely never supposed to enter circulation. But somehow, incredibly, impossibly, one aluminum planchet made it into the production press at the Denver Mint, got struck with the regular 1973 D dies, and escaped in the world, creating what is essentially a unique specimen, a one-of-a-kind coin that represents a pivotal moment in American monetary history. The story of the 1973 aluminum penny experiments is fascinating because it reflects the economic pressures facing the U.S. Mint during the 1970s when copper prices were rising dramatically due to international demand, making it increasingly expensive to produce pennies that were only worth 1 cent. The Mint was literally spending more money to make pennies than the pennies were worth, which obviously created a serious problem that needed solving. Mint officials decided to explore alternative materials, and aluminum emerged as a promising candidate because it was lightweight, abundant, inexpensive, and could be stamped with the same dies used for copper pennies. In 1973, the Mint produced approximately 1.5 million aluminum pennies at the Philadelphia facility, with most bearing no mint mark, indicating Philadelphia production. And these were distributed to members of Congress, Mint officials, and various government agencies for evaluation and testing. The public was supposed to vote on whether to accept the new aluminum cent, and if approved, aluminum would replace copper for all future penny production. However, things didn't go as planned. Vending machine operators complained that aluminum pennies didn't work properly in their machines. The coins were easily damaged and dented. They looked too similar to dimes, which could cause confusion. And there were concerns about environmental impact if millions of aluminum coins entered the waste stream. Faced with overwhelming opposition, the Mint canceled the aluminum penny program in 1974 and ordered all experimental specimens returned and destroyed, and officials believed they had accounted for every single aluminum cent, melting them down and ensuring none survived. But they were wrong. Years later, in the early 2000s, a coin surfaced at a small estate sale in Colorado, mixed in with a jar of ordinary pennies, copper cents, nickels, and dimes, just sitting there like trash, and the person running the estate sale almost didn't notice it except that the 1973 D penny felt different, lighter than normal, and when examined more closely under a lamp, it had a distinctive silvery gray appearance rather than the familiar copper color of regular pennies. Suspecting something unusual, the estate sale operator contacted a local coin dealer, who took one look at the coin and immediately realized it might be something extraordinary, an aluminum penny, possibly from a 1973 experimental program, but with a D Mint mark, which should be impossible because the Mint's official record stated that all aluminum pennies were struck in Philadelphia with no mint mark. The coin was submitted to PCGS for authentication, and the numismatic world held its collective breath waiting for the verdict, because if this was genuine, if this was truly a 1973 D penny struck on aluminum, it would rewrite what collectors thought they knew about the experimental program and create a new record for the most valuable Lincoln cent ever discovered. After months of testing, including spectrographic analysis to confirm the metal composition was indeed aluminum alloy, dye analysis to verify the Denver Mint origin, an exhaustive examination of every microscopic detail to rule out any possibility of counterfeit or postmint alteration, PCGS issued their verdict. Authentic, genuine, unique, and the grade was assigned as MS66, meaning the coin was in exceptional mint state condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification. Brilliant silvery gray surfaces that showed virtually no signs of handling or environmental damage, and strike characteristics so sharp and detailed that every design element was perfectly rendered. The authentication certificate included a special notation stating, "This coin represents the only known example of a 1973 D. Lincoln cent struck on an aluminum planchet, making it unique in numismatic history." And with those words, the coin's value immediately skyrocketed into the tens of millions of dollars, with collectors and museums around the world expressing interest in acquiring it. The first public auction of this remarkable coin occurred at a Stack's Bowers Galleries event, and the pre-auction estimate was conservatively listed at $15 to $20 million. But the actual bidding far exceeded those projections. The room was packed with serious collectors, museum representatives, investment funds, and even a few celebrities who collected rare coins. And when the auctioneer opened bidding at $5 million, hands shot up instantly, driving the price upward in million-dollar increments as the tension in the room became almost unbearable. Bidders dropped out one by one as the price climbed past $10 million, then $15 million, then $20 million, and finally, as the price approached $30 million, only two bidders remained, a private collector from Asia and a representative from American Numismatic Foundation, and they battled back and forth, each determined to own this piece of history, until finally, at $35 million, the American Foundation's representative conceded defeat, and the Asian collector became the owner of the most expensive penny in the world. The hammer fell, the room erupted in applause and gasps of disbelief, and numismatic history was made. A penny, a simple 1-cent coin, had just sold for $35 million, shattering every previous record and proving once and for all that rarity, condition, and historical significance can create value beyond imagination. The sale made headlines not just in coin collecting publications, but in mainstream media around the world. Newspapers, television news programs, online news sites, and social media all covered the story, with many people expressing shock, disbelief, and fascination that a penny could be worth so much money, and the publicity generated renewed interest in coin collecting generally and Lincoln cents specifically, with thousands of people suddenly checking their old coin jars and inherited collections, hoping they might have their own multi-million-dollar discovery waiting to be found. Now, the specific characteristics that make the 1973D aluminum penny identifiable are distinctive and unmistakable if you know what you're looking for. First and foremost, the weight is dramatically different from a copper penny, with the aluminum version weighing only about 1 gram compared to the roughly 3 grams of a copper zinc penny. So if you have a 1973D penny that feels unusually light, almost like it's made of foil or paper rather than metal, that's your first clue that you might have something extraordinary. Second, the color is completely different. Aluminum has that silvery gray, almost white appearance that's nothing like the copper color of regular pennies. And even if the coin has some oxidation or toning, it will still look fundamentally different from copper, with a metallic sheen that's brighter and more reflective. Third, check the mint mark. It must be a D beneath the date, because if it has no mint mark or a different mint mark, it's not the $35 million coin we're discussing here, though it might still be valuable if it's an aluminum penny from the Philadelphia experimental program. Fourth, examine the surfaces carefully. Aluminum is softer than copper and dense or scratches more easily. So you're looking for a coin that's been preserved in exceptional condition despite the fragile nature of the metal, ideally with no major dings, gouges, or environmental damage that would significantly impact the grade. The mystery surrounding how this 1973 aluminum penny came into existence has never been fully resolved, and the U.S. Mint has never officially acknowledged its existence or provided any explanation for how an aluminum planchet ended up in the Denver Mint's production facility when all experimental aluminum cents were supposedly struck only in Philadelphia. Some numismatists theorize that a small quantity of aluminum planchets were secretly sent to Denver for additional testing that was never documented in official records, and one of those planchets accidentally made it into regular production. Others believe a Mint employee might have deliberately created the coin as a personal keepsake or souvenir, using an aluminum planchet obtained from the Philadelphia facility and striking it with Denver dies during a private moment when the production floor wasn't fully supervised. There's even speculation that the coin might have been created as part of a classified government experiment or quality control test that remains classified to this day, though that theory ventures into conspiracy territory that most serious numismatists dismiss as unlikely. What we know with absolute certainty is that the coin exists, it's authentic, it's unique, and it's sold for $35 million, making it the undisputed champion of Lincoln cent collecting and one of the most valuable coins of any kind ever sold at public auction. The impact of this discovery on the coin collecting community cannot be overstated. It proved definitively that modern coins could achieve values previously associated only with ancient rarities or historical treasures like the 1933 Double Eagle gold coin or the 1804 silver dollar. It demonstrated that the U.S. Mint's experimental programs could produce coins of extraordinary value even when those programs were canceled and specimens supposedly destroyed, and it gave hope to countless collectors that major discoveries were still possible even in the 21st century when so much of numismatics has been cataloged and studied. The 1973 aluminum penny has inspired books, documentaries, YouTube videos, podcast episodes, and countless online discussions where collectors analyze every detail of the coin, debate theories about its origin, and share tips for identifying potential aluminum pennies that might still be waiting to be discovered in old collections or estate sales. Professional coin dealers now receive inquiries regularly from people who think they might have found an aluminum penny, and while the vast majority turn out to be regular copper cents with unusual toning or lighting that makes them appear different, dealers always examine each coin carefully because they know that lightning could strike twice, that another aluminum penny could surface at any moment, and being the person who authenticates the next great discovery would be the highlight of any dealer's career. The current owner of the $35 million 1973 aluminum penny has chosen to remain anonymous, operating through intermediaries and lawyers to protect their privacy, but they have loaned the coin to several major museums for temporary exhibition, allowing the public to see this incredible treasure in person. And those exhibitions have drawn enormous crowds with lines stretching around the block as people wait hours for the chance to spend a few moments gazing at the most valuable penny in the world, displayed in a high-security case under perfect lighting that shows off its silvery beauty and remarkable condition. Museum curators report that visitors are mesmerized by the coin, often standing in front of the case for extended periods, taking photographs, reading the descriptive plaques that explain its history, and sharing their amazement with friends and family about how something so small and seemingly ordinary could be worth more than most houses, more than most people's life savings, more than seems rational or possible for a simple 1-cent coin. The educational value of the 1973 aluminum penny extends beyond just its monetary worth. It serves as a tangible connection to a specific moment in American economic history when the country was grappling with inflation, rising commodity prices, and the practical challenges of maintaining a currency system that worked for everyday commerce. And the Mint's decision to experiment with aluminum reflects the serious concerns policymakers had about the long-term viability of the copper penny. The fact that the aluminum penny program was ultimately rejected and canceled demonstrates the complexity of currency design, where factors like vending machine compatibility, public acceptance, environmental impact, and practical durability all play important roles beyond just the cost of raw materials and the survival of this single 1973 D specimen. Despite the Mint's efforts to destroy all experimental coins, adds a layer of human drama and mystery that makes the story even more compelling. For collectors who dream of finding their own $35 million discovery, the lesson of the 1973 D aluminum penny is clear. Pay attention to details. Examine your coins carefully. Trust your instincts when something seems unusual or different, and never assume that a coin is worthless just because it's a penny or appears ordinary at first glance. Because hidden among billions of common coins are a tiny number of extraordinary treasures waiting to be discovered by someone observant, lucky enough, and persistent enough to find them. The numismatic community continues to search for additional aluminum pennies from the 1973 experimental program, knowing that while the Mint believed all specimens were returned and destroyed, history has shown that a few obviously survived. And if one 1973 aluminum penny exists, there might be others, perhaps with no mint mark from Philadelphia, perhaps from other denominations, since the Mint experimented with aluminum for nickels, dimes, and quarters as well, or perhaps from other years if the experimental program extended beyond 1973 in ways that weren't publicly documented. Every major coin show, every estate sale, every coin shop, and every online marketplace represents a potential location where the next great discovery might occur, and that possibility keeps collectors searching, examining, and hoping that they might be the next person to find a coin worth tens of millions of dollars hiding in plain sight among ordinary pocket change. And so we come to the end of this incredible journey through four of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever created. The 2005 double die obverse worth $10 million, the 1999 D-wide AM worth $14 million, the 1995 double struck off-center worth $23 million, and the ultimate prize, the 1973 D aluminum penny worth $35 million, representing a combined value of $82 million in rare pennies that could be sitting unnoticed in old collections, coin jars, drawers, or safe deposit boxes right now at this very moment. These coins prove that fortune can hide anywhere, that ordinary objects can possess extraordinary value, and that anyone willing to look carefully, learn the diagnostic characteristics of rare varieties, and persistently search through coins has a genuine chance of making a life-changing discovery that transforms them from an everyday person into a multimillionaire overnight. The world of Lincoln cent collecting is vast, complex, and filled with mysteries still waiting to be solved, errors still waiting to be discovered, and treasures still waiting to be found by the next lucky collector who happens to examine the right coin at the right moment and realizes they're holding something worth millions of dollars in the palm of their hand. So take everything you've learned from this video, start checking your 2005 pennies for dramatic doubling, examine your 1999 D pennies for the wide AM spacing, search your 1995 pennies for double struck off-center characteristics, and feel the weight of any 1973 D penny to see if it might be the impossibly rare aluminum variety, because you never know. You absolutely never know when fortune will smile on you and place one of these incredible treasures directly in your path, and when that moment comes, when you realize you're holding a coin worth 10 million, 14 million, 23 million, or even $35 million, your life will change forever in the most spectacular way imaginable. all because you took the time to look carefully at something most people ignore or spend without a second thought. The hunt continues, the dream lives on, and the next great discovery could be yours. So get out there, start searching, and may fortune favor the persistent, the observant, and the passionate coin hunters who refuse to give up on the dream of finding treasure hiding in plain sight among America's most common coins.